They want it to look like an accident, but this is no accident, y'all, and it's very bad. Bad news breaking right now, including the recent shocking story told by a woman in panic from a health scare that is affecting millions of women right now. Plus, all these mysterious Walmart store closings are happening, but did you ever stop and think about the real reason why they are closing down? Millions of square feet of empty, vacant warehouse space, ready to be used for potential or probable lockdown and quarantine camps or prisons. Maybe, possibly. Now, I'm not saying this is what they will do, but I know you all know what they want to see happen to us next. So I have to ask you, will you allow it? Will you go peacefully? Will you comply? Because I am sure that I am not the only one who knows of this and the sheep wandering around aimlessly out there. And we all know some folks out there who have already proven their weakness or allegiance to the government in the past and were ready, willing, and able to line up and do whatever it was that needed to be done in order to be protected and in order to keep their jobs or stay in their homes or get some form of stimulus check payment, blood money, basically from the government. And the consequences of these choices and their actions are long lasting and they aren't good. All these people, weak, scared, and afraid, they prey on that and only reinforce more weakness and dependency. So when shit hits the fan again, they already know who will go willingly and who won't. And for all of us who will put up a fight and line up our sights and crosshairs, they will have to come after us first. Eliminate the threat, and then it is easy pickings for the rest. Y'all, welcome to Squirrel Tribe. If it's your first time here, I appreciate you taking time to join us today. If you are returning, I appreciate you guys for coming back. I love you all immensely. I know a lot of you watch on TV. And I have had comments every once in a while that say, I watch you on TV. I never get to comment because I get commenting on TV is not possible. It's really difficult, but I guess things on big screen are better. I don't know. But for those of you who want to be able to comment, even though you are watching on TV, you can go over to Buy Me a Coffee. It's buymeacoffee.com/SquirrelTribe. And you can leave comments there as much as you want on any of the videos or whatever and share your thoughts with me and everyone else over there. Now, let's get into this. So there are many mysterious store closures happening right now with Walmart stores and Target too all around the country, but more so they are, if you look on a map, strategically located, all right? Major cities in places like Portland, Chicago, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, New York, Atlanta, Florida, Miami, parts of Tennessee. These are hot spots right now, and you all know what has been happening in places like these and where you live recently, and it is not good. Let me know, what city and state do you live in and what are you seeing happening around you? I am curious. Some people are seeing a lot of illegal immigrant activity. Some people are seeing a lot of stores closing down. Other people are seeing an influx of new businesses, new houses, things like that. It's different all around our country. So I'm curious if you'd like to share your city, your state, whatever, and what's happening around you. Please feel free to do so in the comments over here. But I have been receiving alerts prompting speculation about the true reasons behind these shutdowns. And I must say that all significant empty warehouse space raises questions about potential use for lockdowns, quarantine camps, or prisons. While it's not asserted that this is the case, there's concern about what might unfold, and the question is posed, will people comply peacefully? It's a simple question. Will you comply, or will you resist and fight back if, or better yet when, the government comes to take what is yours? Granted, there are some who will say that the numbers are high, something like 90% who have shown allegiance to the government in the past and their readiness to comply for various incentives is raised. The consequences of such compliance are described as fostering weakness and dependency. However, those of us who resist are highlighted, targeted, if you will, and there is no doubt that we can reasonably point to signs suggesting they might be coming for us first in challenging times. Like Cat Williams said on Willie D Live, I don't know if you've seen it or not, they don't want, or actually there is no need for there to be 13 shepherds, but there are thousands, and in this case, millions, or better yet, billions of sheep. But shifting to a different topic, it is very important to create videos like these and creating and expanding on the dialogue of personal safety and survival. But unfortunately, this platform doesn't allow such content anymore, and violating these rules will land you in jail or just canceled and deleted altogether. You all have seen plenty of channels, I'm sure, that you have been subscribed to, that you have watched, that have either gone silently into the night, if you will, or been yanked away from the platform, or have had to change everything they talk about because of what it could do to them personally and financially and whatever elsely. You know what's happening on this platform. It's happening across a lot of different platforms. So just keep that in mind. But no matter what, We must not stop from finding new ways to work around these confines and still deliver the message while needing to keep certain details private. And if you get it, then go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe if you agree. So let's talk about the facts and how the depopulation of nearly half of the 30,000 cities in the United States is already in the works, plans, and discussions by the letter organizations and private all around the world. Some of the factors contributing to this trend include housing challenges, urbanization, rising home prices, climate change, legislation, and immigration. And for this next part, I just want to ask that you really pay attention to what is being said and all the ongoing developments, and make sure you're getting ready to prepare for potential changes. Predictions by researchers from the University of Chicago regarding city populations by the year 2100, with 43% of U.S. cities at risk of depopulation. Low-income cities are expected to be more significantly affected first, and we can already begin to see specific examples of cities facing challenges, including incidents like shootings and deaths that seem to overwhelm news feeds and news reports, forcing us all into a treacherous cycle of doom scrolling, unfortunately. But I hate to say it, but it may already be too late for some because it's already happening with all of the killings, murders, and deaths plaguing these cities. In Pittsburgh, the bar owner of, I think it's Mogies, M-O-G-I-E-S, Mogies Irish Pub was shot to death, killed right outside of his own tavern. But if it isn't death by gunshot wounds, then it is homelessness. With attempts dropping, they'll have to wait until the bodies thaw out before they can identify them and tally up the total death toll that is rising right now. I mean, there are temperatures in the negative 40s in the Midwest, and here where I am in the panhandle of Florida, the Gulf of Mexico, I woke up this morning to 22 degrees it felt like 9 degrees. That's not what you expect where I live. And I know that these low temperatures are hitting people in places that it's colder than it usually is. And there are more homeless people that are now being affected by these low temperatures. I remember in Las Vegas last year when we were leaving, not last year, year before, leaving Las Vegas, the temperatures had gotten so high that we actually passed a deceased body on the sidewalk. It was from heat, according to what I found out afterwards, because it's traumatizing seeing a covered body on the sidewalk while driving away from a town. I mean, anytime you see death, it's traumatizing. But anyway, let's get back to where we were. I'm sorry. Okay, there are families at risk due to frozen pipe bursts and boiler issues, being left with no heat. And there are parts of the country and these cities at high risk of depopulation currently experiencing temps so cold that it could be warmer to live in Siberia or Alaska instead of in places like Chicago. I mean, really think about that. Plus, hospitals are warning people they are at capacity and don't have the resources to help save lives, while officials warn of a dangerous viral outbreak and the risk of exposure is at all-time high now that passengers and travelers are spreading it through international airports. And the World Economic Forum, you know, the good old three-letter agency that we love there, WEF, W-E-F, just announced how they are creating a contingency plan for the next infectious virus outbreak. It is called Disease X, and the WEF, W-E-F, attendees say that they will discuss the hypothetical virus in order to prepare properly for it. Let me just put it to you this way. When they say hypothetical, I hear already on the table, ready to roll that sucker out. If it isn't one thing, then it's another, and the always looming threat of climate change continues to place millions of people at risk of being wiped out. And in cities like Pittsburgh, underground streams are now being talked about and how they pose challenges, and dozens of streams flow under Pittsburgh, but have begun creating a buzz and conversation about their links and ties to climate change. However, what's really shocking and alarming right now is how the WHO, or the World Health Organization, just launched an appeal for over $1 billion to, as they say, protect the health of the most vulnerable populations in 41 emergencies around the globe in 2024. They said 41 emergencies, like they already know what's going to happen. Sounds like this is all planned. How do you know how many emergencies you'll have in 2024 unless they're already on your your flipping calendar? How about that? But they say the appeal covers the emergencies that demand the highest level of response from WHO, with the aim to reach over 87 million people. It is being it's being issued in a context of complex emergencies cutting across crisis of conflict, climate change, and economic instability, which continue to fuel displacement, hunger, and inequality. And the WHO Director General has said, quote, For those facing emergencies, disruptions to essential health services often mean the difference between life and death. From mothers giving birth during conflict, to aid to young children in drought-affected regions, to those receiving cancer treatment or dialysis, healthcare saves lives. Healthcare services are also critical for breaking the cycle that too often leaves communities in a perilous state and reliant on yet more emergency assistance. End quote. But let's be honest and real here. These predictions have important implications for the stability of U.S. cities in the future. And while we already know just how bad a growing population can strain a city's resources, a shrinking one tends to be accompanied by smaller tax revenues and a lack of financial support for essential services and infrastructure maintenance. And this can make life more difficult for the population who remain in these shrinking areas. It is time for us to get ready and prepared, people. All across the U.S., brace for population shifts and the inevitable as all these cities begin to experience depopulation. But please hear this message and receive it in good health. I want to encourage you to focus on staying safe, smart, connected, and vigilant. And lastly, y'all, so I saw a video, it was uploaded just a few days ago. The channel or the young lady's name is Jessica Hover, and she titled the video, "I Have Cervical Cancer." And the reason this stuck out to me is because there's been so many women on YouTube lately with some form of cancer, and it feels like it is never-ending cycle of women and this disease, right? Now, unfortunately, I can't go into great detail here because of the limitations set in place on channels like mine that restrict me, a natural woman, from discussing these important topics, but I will share with you, to the best of my abilities, a brief summary, and we can discuss some of these major problems and red flags with the healthcare system and how we are put at risk of being wiped out in their seemingly blatantly obvious plan to thin the herd. The best way to do that, to accomplish their goals, or at least one way, would be to eliminate the only true birthing persons God created and put on this earth: real women, females, the only definition of a woman that exists, all right? But some key takeaways included the following that I have taken notes of. So first, she is a member of Very Good Mothers Club, which the Very Good Mothers Club is an online community and business for parents, babies, and kids, according to the bio of the company website. And it was started by mom and nanny BFF duo Jessica Hover and Becca Prinz. And so Jessica starts off by welcoming her subscribers back after what she said had been a long time, and then immediately addresses the cover or the thumbnail of the video and says, and I quote, "I haven't even been able to say the words that the cover says, really. I just did that because it's clickbait, and that's what you have to do these days." Then she continues to talk about how scary it is for her to even say the words, but wants to tell everyone in the most detail, seemingly as possible. But as the video slowly progresses, she talks about how she had concerns about her reproductive system after experiencing symptoms such as aches and pains in the lower abdomen and lower back, random bleeding, and an unusual aroma. Despite not initially suspecting cancer, she underwent a Pap test in September, followed by I don't know if I was typing too fast or if this is actually what's called a colposcopy. I don't know what that, colposcopy, right? And furthermore, subsequent concerns led to a surgical procedure called conization of the cervix, or a leap to biopsy part of the cervix. The diagnosis of the condition was received on December 17th, coinciding with a busy period in her life that she deflected to Instagram, and how if you followed her on Instagram, that is where they put together a really amazing holiday market, and she was documenting the whole thing as part of a project with Hyundai, however you're supposed to say. I think it's just Hyundai, whatever. And although she said it was really amazing and a lot of work, but ultimately just an emotional roller coaster because of everything that was going on health-wise, and that she didn't feel comfortable inviting the world into. But definitely for her close circle, she said, "It was not my best time." But moving on from there, she mentions how sadly the healthcare system has been really disappointing, and it's hard to even know who's doing it wrong. She said she wasn't even sure who to be mad at or sad at, because apparently, she said, they just kept forgetting about her. So for instance, she would have a UTI, urinary tract infection, which she claims to get a lot of UTIs. If you've ever had one, they are awful. They hurt. They suck, just plain and simple. If you've ever had a UTI, they suck. And how since giving birth to her baby, she has UTIs all the time. She would be like, you know, I feel like I have a UTI. And then the doctors in the hospital are like, oh, you're probably just nervous for your surgery. And she's like, I don't usually burn when I pee when I feel nervous, but okay, that's fine. She then tells a story about how when she was going in for the surgery, the next nurse was like, so what antibiotic were you put on for the UTI that you were diagnosed with 4 days ago? And she's like, no, they didn't tell me I was diagnosed. Nobody's put me on anything. And then she was put on something. They just randomly gave her an antibiotic, right? A week later, she said she had finished the antibiotics and was recovering from surgery. She said she felt awful bad and thought it was because of the surgery. She was like, yeah, my back hurt, my legs hurt. It was hard to think. Everything was off. So she was going back to the ER, actually, ironically or serendipitously. The hospital called her and they were like, hey, by the way, are you by any chance experiencing any symptoms of a UTI? Because we realized that the antibiotics we gave you were not the ones you actually needed. And so you need to get these antibiotics urgently. Hello? When you're given the wrong medication, do you understand what that can do for your body? Same as if you have like the wrong surgery or something like that. That's a pretty big flipping deal, just so we're all fully aware. It sounds like a complete mess and the most incompetent healthcare staff of nurses and doctors imaginable. I would seriously, personally get a second opinion before moving forward at all. After that, especially with those people, I would move to a different location if possible. But the way insurance is these days, sometimes you're stuck with where you are. Ultimately, she shared how she experienced challenges in her medical journey, including miscommunication, incorrect antibiotics for a UTI, insurance issues, and difficulty securing an appointment with an oncologist after being diagnosed with early stage cancer. She did try to convey through emotion and, express her overwhelming frustration with the healthcare system's disconnects and highlighted the importance of self-advocacy and obtaining medical records. But despite ongoing uncertainty, she is trying to maintain a positive outlook and plan to share more of her journey with her viewers. Now, I would just like to say, this whole DEI hiring, diverse, equity, inclusiveness, I'm pretty sure that's all of it, sometimes has this kind of effect. I'm not saying that, people should not have jobs. I would never say in my life that somebody who happens to be Hispanic shouldn't be allowed to have a job, or Asian or black or female or male or gay or trans or whatever. Everybody should be allowed to have a job, but you should have the right job. You should not be allowed to have a job just because you check off some freaking quota box that a company has. If you have a nurse who has failed whatever things you're supposed to pass, I don't know, I'm not a nurse, whatever test you're supposed to have in order to have this job, and this one company is like, man, we really need a black gay male though, so I know he's failed and he's not very good, but put him in anyway, we'll work with him. And then you get prescribed the wrong antibiotics for something. Is this DEI hire really helping anybody besides your box checking and maybe your bonuses if you're Boeing? Because it seems to me that right now we have so many people or so many businesses who are not hiring the correct people for the correct jobs. And all you're hearing are more and more horror stories like this woman's from, her experience with her healthcare providers, the horror stories from these airlines where parts of the plane are flying off, horror stories from all different kinds of walks of life from people getting jobs that they are not qualified to have. That's like just handing me the White House. Do I want it? Sure. I'd love to be your president. Am I qualified? Hell no. I don't know that much about politics and everything else. I'm probably not qualified. It's not like the person in there now is either, but that's not the point. I'm just saying qualified people should be in the places that matter the most. And right now it feels like we have to be really cognizant of who we are entrusting our lives and our health to. And women, ladies, men also, you have got to be your own advocate for things. If something feels wrong or seems wrong, go hound the crap out of somebody until you get what you need. I mean, I don't even know how to go with that. I was about to say, unless you're just making it up like your Eminem's mom. What was it she had where you think that you have all these illnesses, but you really don't, but whatever. If you have that, don't pester the hospital system. But if you really feel like something is wrong and you need to be looked at, advocate for yourself, because the hospitals aren't going to do it most of the time. So that's my takeaway on this. Like I said, I've seen so many different channels. You had Jenny Apple, who passed away from her cancer journey. You have, I think it's Think Tiphany, who also had a different type of cancer. She was documenting her journey on YouTube as well. So many females that are popping up on different platforms with different things that they're going through cancer-wise or whatever else-wise. And when I tell you all the time, they're saying that 1 in 2 people is going to have some form of cancer in their life. I have to think it's all these different things that we are putting into our bodies, whether it's food related, whether it's medicine related, whether it is the cleaning supplies that we're breathing in every day, whether it's the things we're washing our clothes in, whether it's what's in our air, chemtrails, what's in our water, all kinds of friggin' chemicals. All these things that are in us and around us are pushing us towards this unhealthy era. I don't even know what to call that. Because it wasn't this bad decades ago, before all of these chemicals were added into our everyday life. But anyway, y'all, thank you for letting me just bring all that information to you. Hopefully you found something interesting there. I'd love all your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you're watching on TV and you're not in the video, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/SquirrelTribe and leave comments there if you would like, if that's easier for you. I appreciate you all immensely. I love you all even more, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.